Hello and welcome back to the Sack Race Reacts. It's been a crazy couple of weeks in the managerial arena. We've had Roy Hodgson leaving, we've had Big Sam, Nuno all going. Those markets still available now. Tottenham market is still going. Pochettino now odds on for a sensational return. It went all off in Italy. Conte won the league, then left. Pirlo got sacked. They reappointed Allegri. And recently Zidane shocked the world by saying he'll be leaving Real Madrid. Who have now appointed Carlo Ancelotti to leave Everton managerless. So that's what this video is going to be about today. So remember to like the video, subscribe, and tell us who you think should be the next Everton manager. And I'm delighted to be joined by a matchday reporter at the Liverpool Echo, and the man who likes to bet himself. It's Tony Scott. How are you, Tony? You all right?
Very good. Been busy the past 24 hours, so to speak. So yeah, all good, but could be better on the Everton managerial front.
Okay, mate, we'll go straight into it. On Monday, Carlo Ancelotti was 12-1 to be Real Madrid's next manager. I was a bit gutted I didn't get off when the rumours came in. Yesterday, they appointed him. What do you make of the whole situation, how quickly things have turned?
I think it's football as we know it in this day and age, don't we? I think it seemed to develop very, very quickly over the past 24 hours. But what I'm reading and what I'm hearing is that it was further down the line. It could have been as far as 2 weeks ago. And we're hearing little snippets of things going on in the background. Even 5 days ago, Richarlison tweeted a picture of Ancelotti giving him a hug. Totally random, totally out the blue. So that was 5 days ago. So yeah, it developed very, very quickly. It just goes to show in football, there's no kind of loyalty. Don't take anything for granted, and anything can happen to any football club, and you don't belong to you anymore. It's just Everton fans seem to thought Ancelotti was theirs for this new project going into the brand new stadium, and within quickly it can drop like that. And once Real Madrid come calling, there's very few say no.
Definitely. And Ancelotti has said, I have complete respect for everyone associated at Everton. I hope they can achieve their exciting opportunities they have in front of them. While I have enjoyed being at Everton, I've been presented with an unexpected opportunity, which I believe is the right move for me and my family at this time. How do you feel about him, considering all the noises he was making earlier in the season, and he wanted his name chanted at the new stadium, and he seemed invested in the project to quickly kind of jump ship at the first opportunity?
I can see two sides to it. I really, really can. The Evertonian in me, and looking at social media, and a lot of Evertonians feel very angry and sour. Because he was totally invested in the football club. He loved Liverpool, the city. He embraced the people. He was looking forward to the Everton project. He's got some fantastic results last season. Peters off towards the end, where he finished mid-table. But in the main, he was grasping the football club, and there's many managers out there that kind of get Everton. Some would just see it as a stopgap, like Ronald Koeman, Marco Silva, Sam Allardyce, etc. But Carlo Ancelotti seemed to have just grasped Everton straight away, and he had a very good relationship with the owner and Marcel Brands, the Everton director of football. So Evertonians took him on board. He sang his name, Carlo Fantastico. It was a really good buzz around the place. So yeah, it was like a big unity at Everton Football Club, which hasn't been for a while. And then before you know it, obviously you come up with the sound bites like Everton's a family club. I embrace it. I'm looking forward to winning trophies at the brand new stadium. And then before you know it, you can see Real Madrid come calling. And as I touched on at the start of the show, is that very few people say no to Real Madrid. Now, from Carlo Ancelotti's perspective, he's coming to the twilight of his career, and he's probably seeing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity now be presented to him where he can go and live in Madrid. He probably, let's be honest, Real Madrid are going to hire him for a year. They give him a 3-year contract, but even if he wins the league or the Champions League, they'll probably sack him. So it doesn't matter. He's got a 3-year deal there. He'll retire happy there. He'll go and live in Madrid. His family will be happy there. So I can see it from his point of view. I really can. If you just take away your blue tinted glasses off for a second, I can see Carlo Ancelotti. He wants to go back to Real Madrid. He's got no loyalty to Everton Football Club because he's not an Evertonian. He's embraced the football club, but it's a job to him. his heart is at Madrid, isn't it? I know he's an Italian born, but he spent a lot of time in Madrid. He was successful. He wants to live in Madrid. So he's actually took a pay cut as well to be the Real Madrid manager, which speaks volumes that it's not about money. He's not money motivated. He wants to go and live in Madrid with his family and be happy managing Real Madrid in the Champions League. But the irony of it all is that he was very, very vocal towards the Super League club, so to speak, a couple of weeks ago, saying they should be thrown out. It's disgusting what they've done. 2 weeks later, he signed a 3-year contract with one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to bring that up in his meeting with Florentino Perez, is he?
No chance.
Just before we go on to the next Everton manager, and sort of Everton fans, for me, from the outside looking in, seem to love him. But if you take away the name and you look at what he did, what do you make of his reign? Because, yeah, you had some really great wins at Anfield. Arsenal, the away record was superb. But the home record, I think it was the 4th worst in the Premier League. Last day of the season seemed like he just folded in 5-0 away at Man City and ended up finishing 10th. Did you think he did well or not?
I think if you were probably rating the season, you'd probably say 6.5, 7. I think they found themselves in a really good opportunity lots of times, like many clubs, West Ham, Leicester, Tottenham, Arsenal. There was a lot of clubs in that bracket that could have found themselves, and even Leeds to a certain extent, that, you know what, there's a chance there for European football. And they just fell off just due to the fact that they couldn't get the best players on the pitch. And it went to do with injuries as well. As that, I could probably name about 5 players that Evertonians really rate in terms of a 25-man squad. 20 of them you wouldn't lose sleep if they were sold tomorrow. So it just goes to show that he was getting the best out of them in terms of where they were. Arguably, there's a quote to say that Everton's best players are the ones that he actually signed last summer. And Ben Godfrey, obviously, James Rodriguez, Alan, Abdoulaye Doucouré. So they are Everton's best players. But in the main, it's tough because, as you just touched on there, Charlie, they picked up some fantastic results. They won the Merseyside Derby for the first time at Anfield since 1999, won away at Tottenham for the first time in 2006, I think, if I remember rightly, won the Emirates for the first time since 1996. They picked up a point at Old Trafford. They beat Chelsea. They done a double over Arsenal. So they picked up some very good results. But as you touched on there, the home record was shocking and they couldn't get that balance. It was probably a typical Italian performance away from home where they'd suck the opposition in and hit them on the counter-attack and defend deep and hold on to the victory. Where at home, where the onus was on the Everton to beat Sheffield United and beat Fulham and beat West Ham and beat all these other teams, and they couldn't do it. Leeds, there's a lot of teams that come to Goodison and picked up 3 points. So it was just really frustrating because he couldn't seem to grasp that mentality of not go gung-ho, so to speak, but finding another way to beat these lesser teams, dare I say lesser teams at home, where they just couldn't find a solution. So, yeah, if we're probably rating a frustrating season where if you probably would have asked me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I probably would have rated it a 7.5 and 8 because it was really going well. They could have even got 4th a couple of weeks ago, but it just petered away with some shoddy results. So, yeah, it's just a bit frustrating the way it all seems to be a lot angry and frustrated Evertonians around Merseyside today.
Okay. Well, as one door closes, another door opens. So yesterday, the bookies priced up the next Everton manager market even before the announcement. But I wanted to go through the top 5 names in the betting, just get your thoughts on each of them with a possibility. We'll run through some alternative names, and then I want to give you your best bet for who you think will be appointed. So at the moment, the front runner is Nuno Espirito Santo. He left Wolves just before the end or announced he was leaving at the end of the season. He's had 3 weeks of talks with Crystal Palace and is the favourite for that job at 2-1. And he's also now the favourite for the Everton job. If you're looking at those 2 squads, I think I know which one I'd pick for, but as an Everton man, would you be happy with him being your next manager?
Probably, it's a tough one. It really, really is. I can see why he'd be probably favourite of the Everton squad because Crystal Palace actually even got a squad at the moment because all the players have obviously out of contract. So yeah, obviously, if he's weighing it up, he'd probably get paid better at Everton to have a better squad to pick from and more opportunities there. I think it is probably, to ask the majority of Everton fans, I think it'd be probably split 50-50 in terms of the Espirito Santo selection. The trouble is with Everton, they've got no identity at the moment. And since Roberto Martinez left here, I say I wasn't a fan, but since he left, you knew the style of football Everton were playing. Now, since then, we've had a lot of chop and change. Farhad Moshiri, Rain, Ronald Koeman, Marco Silva, Sam Allardyce, Duncan Ferguson had a go, and obviously what happened to Carlo Ancelotti. And you can't identify how Everton play, what they want to be. And they're going into a brand new stadium in 2 or 3 years' time, so they need to find a way to identify themselves. At the same token, the onus will be on the owner, who obviously picked Carlo Ancelotti, Farhad Moshiri. Now, it should be down to the director of football. He runs the football club from top to bottom, and his name's Marcel Brands. So his job description should be to pick this manager to identify the way Everton want to play and bring all the new signings in. But it hasn't worked out like that. So Everton are in a bit of a sticky situation. So in terms of the market, it's a difficult one to gauge, really, because this is a bit like normally when you see a market for a managerial situation, you can go, I can see him there, I can see him moving there, I can see links with agents and connections. This is a bit of like a Grand National hit because anything can happen. So if you're looking at the Everton market to be the manager, don't draw the line under any. Honest, it's so difficult, even if it's still raw at this stage. It's like the 5-day decks in horses. You can look at it and go, anything can win this because you don't know who's going to pick the manager, whether it be the owner, Moshiri, or whether it be the director of football or the chairman. And if one of them get their say, then it could be anything. So it's literally throw it all up in the air. It could be Spirits of Santo. It depends on his agents, the relationship he has with Moshiri. If it's down to Bill Kenwright, I'm sure he'll favour David Moyes coming back. If it's down to Marcel Brands, it could be from someone in Europe. So it's a flick of a coin. So I wouldn't put anyone off any name at the moment. I really, really wouldn't.
Okay, sounds like there could be a few quid for people to go in with this market. I'll just reel off some names then, and we'll get your pick on firstly who you would like them to appoint and who you think they'll appoint. So we mentioned Nuno Santo. Eddie Howe, his best price at 7-2, Everton fan. David Moyes, you mentioned, he won our Premier League manager, obviously ex-Everton manager. Rafa Benitez, ex-Liverpool manager, he's 12-1 with William Hill. Antonio Conte, I mean, you managed to lure a big name with Carlo Ancelotti. He's out of work now, kind of linked with Tottenham and Real Madrid. He's 14-1 with Bet Victor. And you got Ten Hag, 16-1. Romantic appointment in Duncan Ferguson, 16-1. Maurizio Sarri, 16-1. Graham Potter, 20-1. And a big price, I think, Sean Dyche, 33-1. So if you were the man in the hot seat to make that decision, who would you appoint as the next Everton manager?
Oh, it's so difficult, Charlie. You put me on the spot there, mate. It's so raw, and as I touched on there, I don't want to sit on the fence here and put anyone off anything because it literally is a lottery, this one. Normally you can single it down. So I remember I had a bet on Carlo Ancelotti when we got wind of that. A touch lucky on Ronald Koeman. Sometimes you get sound bites. Everton had a boardroom meeting at 3:00 on Tuesday. They had another one in the evening. So I'm sure talks and Zoom calls will be going on with Everton's hierarchy, and they'll all be throwing the weight in because there will be 3 different opinions going in. I spoke to someone close to Rafa Benitez yesterday, and I'm sure that he wouldn't turn the job down. Still lives local, regardless of his red allegiances, he'd jump at the job. David Moyes is an interesting one, still yet to sign that 3-year contract at West Ham. He was very, very close to becoming the Everton manager before Carlo Ancelotti. I was told that he was verbally agreed, and then obviously Ancelotti signed straight after because he was sacked from Napoli, which I'm just sure, like, obviously, you goes without saying you employ Ancelotti. Espirito Santo's another one. Duncan Ferguson as well at 25-1. Now he's had a go. He's served as apprentice, but I'm unsure where. See, it's difficult because Evertonians are going to be angry whoever they appoint. The one for me, if I was Everton, you can't drop the level. You cannot drop that level because we've employed Ancelotti. I would throw absolutely everything at Antonio Conte. I really, really would. That's my opinion. Whether they go and get him, but approach him, have the conversation, speak to his agent, throw the whales at him. They could afford to pay Carlo Ancelotti £8 million a year. He was the 3rd highest paid manager in the Premier League last season. Only the 2 Manchester clubs will pay more. So it goes to show that they can throw the money at it and they can lure him. The problem is he's a bit of an egg case, isn't he, Ancelotti? I'm sure he'll crack a few skulls in that Everton dressing room. And maybe that's what they need. Maybe these Everton Everton players have had a lot of managers in the past and they've got away with absolute murder. So I'm sure that a manager would come in and tell them some home truths and get the best out of them. Maybe that's what they've needed. They've had the softly approach under Ancelotti. They've had the arm round the shoulder under Martinez. They've had obviously a telling off by Sam Allardyce, and that's the way it is. But I'm sure that someone of Antonio Conte's stature was to come in with a glittering CV like Carlo Ancelotti will probably get the best out of him. But he's just another stopgap, isn't he? He's just like a 2-year reign at one club and a 2-year at the other. It depends where Everton are at, and I don't want to harp on about this, but do they want a long-term gain or do they want a short-term fix? Do you want to go with a young up-and-coming manager? Potter at Brighton's another one being spoken of the past few days.
You get 20-1 for Graham Potter, and I think he plays fantastic football and would be a great long-term investment.
He would be a great long-term investment, but I'm unsure whether Evertonians would like that. I really, really would. And it all boils down to Farhad Moshiri. He listens to them Everton fans all the time. I was there for Roberto Martinez's last game, and it was just so hostile. And he was looking at, and he was going to pull the trigger way before that. We even heard, and believe it or not, this is what we're hearing from last night, is that after the 5-0 defeat against Manchester City on the last game of the season, Carlo Ancelotti, Farhad Moshiri wanted to take things into his own hands then. He wanted to speak to the players and speak to Carlo Ancelotti after that result. So it just goes to show he was unhappy with the back end of results last season. So, yeah, he will probably have the final say. He is the majority shareholder. He has pumped absolutely millions into the football club. He must be turning his hair out. He must be thinking, how have I pumped this money into the football club? And we are actually worse off. But, yeah, if I was in the hot seat, I would throw absolutely everything at Antonio Conte just because you want to keep on that level. If you drop, then all of a sudden players start looking elsewhere. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Luca Dean, Alan, they'll be looking at this and going, hang on, we've gone from Carlo Ancelotti to, dare I say, Eddie Howe, and the fans aren't going to be happy. So for Farhad Moshiri, we'll be listening to the Everton supporters. But if you're to push me on a bet, I'm probably saying this from blue tint suspects, but to be honest, I'll go for Antonio Conte.
Love it. No, we spoke to a Tottenham fan, I feel like ages ago, and we highlighted Antonio Conte. He's a born winner. And I totally agree with what you're saying about that levels. You can get Conte at 14-1 with Bet Victor and William Hill. So really appreciate your time, Tony. Some really good insight there. And remember, you guys, put in the comments who you want to be the next Everton manager. We've got a plethora of markets available in the sack race. So go on there to see who the movers and shakers. And then follow all the activity on our Twitter. Thanks again, Tony. And if you are to have a bet, please make sure you gamble responsibly. Thanks a lot, guys. See you soon.